and glory unto Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. Also want to give double honors unto the apostles and elders and bishops of Great Millstone. Blessings and salutations unto the elect of Yasharahla, which consists of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as the Akim out there enduring his truth across the four corners of the earth, teaching and prophesying through the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai in truth and sincerity, and the men and women that follow, and those who might look like the other nations but are of the nation of Israel and their father's side by blood. And I wanted to play this quick video. It'd be a pretty quick lesson. Get a couple scriptures in Second Edges, the 15th chapter, because you're starting to hear more and more videos like this. And, as us watchmen know, hey, this is, the times that we prophesied of through the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And we're in those times now. We're in the time of Jacob's trouble. We're in the time of the love of many waxing cold. We're in the time of, Babylon about to be judged, civil war, wars and rumors of wars, so every day is one step closer to the end, and which is one step closer to home. If it be of the Lord's will that we be of that number, be of the elect and able to receive that salvation. So I'm going to go ahead and play this clip.
Man, I've seen enough. I'm over it. Every single day I open up social media and all I see now are calls for violence and intense violence. And what's ironic is that the group of people who normally were so...
Yeah, that's a good precept right here. Isaiah 19:2. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, because this is spiritually Egypt, as it says in Revelations 8. I think it's 11:8. Revelations 11:8. Here, let me just double check real quick. I'm gonna check in my phone, and I'll just read it from there. This is Revelation chapter 11, verse 8. It says, "And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified." That great city being Babylon, being America. All right, spiritually called Sodom, as you know, with the alphabet community, in Egypt because of the bondage. All right, as well as the symbolism that it have and some of the idols that's upheld and erected in this place and worship. Okay. And also where it says where our Lord was crucified, because, this is where, when you get into the definition of crucified, is pretty much he was X'd out, and which was the reputation, which came with the name, came with his description. They pretty much changed his name and, gave him long hair and blue eyes and pale skin. All right. This is, where they predominantly use that image and deceive the world, so to speak. All right, so it says, "And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom." And those are the times that, we're coming into, man. That's why it's a lot of racial tension stirring up, and a lot of protests, and which protests eventually going to turn to seditions as we get into Second Edges, the 15th chapter.
Gun rights. So for gun control, well, they seem awfully hell-bent on telling you to grab yours if you have one, and go ahead and use it. These posts, and there's too many to number now, they remain in circulation on these platforms with clear calls to violence and hundreds of thousands of views, tens of thousands of likes, if not more. Platforms like this and social media in general are purposefully glorifying violence against each other.
And that's where we're at, That, like it said in that precept, Egyptian shall fight against Egyptian. It's multiple factors that led up to that. It's not like everybody just woke up and decided, okay, I'm gonna, have hatred or think of violence, or it's the spirit that's allowing these things to happen. As it says in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, there's a time and a season for every purpose, man. Okay, and even within there, it says there's a time for peace and a time for war. And we're just in a time of war because judgment has to come about, man. A lot of people are going to be unalived and deleted, because we are in the last days of this wicked kingdom. This it comes from this kingdom. As the king, so is the people. All right, Esau is a bloody man. Okay, he thirsts for it. Okay, he said what does it say in Proverbs? He eat the bread of wickedness and drink iniquity or something to that effect. This is Proverbs chapter 4, verse 17. It says, "For they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence." All right, so he's also, you know, propagating these things, man. All right.
Incentivize it with social media clicks and views and monetization, all for the goal of furthering the division and continuing the unrest. People fall for it every time.
Yeah, and that's what it is. This is United States of America. It's never been united. It was built off a division. All right, it was ran off division. It was labored off division. Okay, there's always been division. You know, got the poor communities, you got the rich communities. All right, you got the black community, so-called black community, so-called white community, so-called Hispanic community. All right, even though those are our people, that's even part of the division because Esau knew he'd keep us separate. We wouldn't come together, but the Spirit brought the ones who are going to understand this knowledge together. You know?
No mistake about it. The people that want to destroy this country, and no, I'm not talking about the ones in the streets. I'm talking about the ones in the background pulling the strings. They absolutely love what is happening right now. If we continue down this path, America will self-destruct. It's only a matter of time at this point.
There you go. It's only a matter of time, as he said. Let me see. I'm trying to. Dang, I can never. Yeah, here we go. I can get this one. This is Deuteronomy 32:8. It says, "When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel." So that's why when you look at ancient maps, everybody had their land that they were in, you know, because the Lord didn't have everybody just together. Certain nations did business with each other, but it ain't like everybody just all mixed in and everything. No, everybody had their lands, even amongst the tribes as well. Um, but it's this society, as well as amongst other societies in the past, that have tried to bring everybody together. Hence the Tower of Babel, Antiochus Epiphanes trying to bring everybody together as well. All right. But the Lord never intended it to be such. Okay. So we got 2nd Ezra 15:14. It says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hand." Whatever type of weapon. All right. Oh, this is in the past. It says swords. People been use swords. No, no. A sword is just a weapon. So whatever weapon is within their hands, and the modern day sword, beat a gun. Okay. And that's what he was saying in the video. They're glorifying this violence. People that once was anti guns, all right, are now pro gun. All right, because they're understanding that this world ain't the world that it once was, and that tension is in height. It is increasing. All right, and through the Spirit, that's why, um, us brothers, us believers, us true worshipers, I like to say, as the scriptures say, we got to make sure we're circumspect. Not being out as much. All right, and continuously praying and doing what we're supposed to be doing, that the Lord covers us in these darker days to come. All right, that remain the blood of the Lamb upon us as it was on the post in ancient Egypt when the Lord passed over. All right, the nation of Israel. Okay. It says, "For there shall be sedition among men." And what's going to cause that? Because people are getting fed up and tired. New laws are coming in, and it's not to their true benefit. All right, food ain't even started increasing yet. But once it do, As Apostle Tahar was going into hyperinflation, is once that started, people aren't used to that. People are used to being able to um what's the word I'm looking for? Splurge. You know, they get paid this week, and then it's like, all right, I can get this, and then I can make it till next week. People are used to doing that. Well, when next week ain't coming, you ain't got a job. Bread is $30, which you had to put meat at like $100, or something like that. All right. Once it start to once resources start to get scarce, that's when people are gonna become more and more and more private, more divided. Okay, more violent. All right. It says, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings." And you have what throughout the cities at this point? You got national guards, and you got military men. All right, you ain't just got your average day police. You got your ICE agents. So they're just getting you used to seeing these type of things. So when these seditions do happen, okay, let's get a little basic definition. It says conduct or speech inciting peoples to rebel against the authority or the state of monarch. Now, what can cause that? There's many things that can cause that. Hell, remember when they took the food stamps? They was outside the office. I forget which city that was, but it's like they had a woman in there cussing the people out that worked down there at the service center, for lack of better words. And it's like these people ain't got nothing to do with it, but they don't know who to take it out on. So people are gonna be taking it out on each other after a while. All right. Once they're not regarding their kings nor the princes, in the course of their actions shall stand in their power, you're gonna have to bring in what? The Insurrection Act. All right, aka martial law, aka get your ass in the house and don't come out at a certain time. You know, it says a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. You're gonna have roadblocks. Okay, you ain't gonna be able to just freelance and do what you want. Oh, I need to go and talk to my cousin over in certain, like, nah. Shit, there's a bridge that connects Omaha to Council Bluffs, and I'm pretty sure once things get a little chaotic and they start to lock things down, they're gonna shut that bridge down. You know, and it says, "For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid." Yeah, because the American dream, you're gonna understand that it never existed. You're gonna understand that whatever peaceful days you had in this place are no longer coming back. Whatever normalcy you had is never coming back. All right, it'll become another new norm, because this is a new norm post COVID 2020. Okay, it says, "A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods." All right, if you got some goods up in there, we taking your water. Well, I'm just speaking in general. It'll be, people taking each other's water. Okay, people taking each other's food. All right, it ain't like they gonna ask politely and it's gonna be given politely. They're gonna be spoiling them. And it says what? Because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation, it's gonna be chaotic. Okay, and what's their motto? Order out chaos. Order out of chaos. So once things get chaotic and it's too wild, and people getting locked up left and right, thrown in concentration camps, being deleted and unalived, and okay, let's bring some order to this. You know, possibly that can be that time for that sea hit. There are many. There's a few avenues that can bring about that, man. Okay, but nonetheless, we're living in those times. And as the title of that video said, let's get ready to rumble, because that's the times that we're in. There's no turning back now. You know, America then established itself to be what it is and has groomed the people, their minds to act the way that they act. Ain't no turning back, man. You know, a handful of people changing their mind and actually growing up here. What I mean by that is being mature. You know, trying to have peace or fairness for the most part, that ain't gonna change nothing, because peace ain't gonna come until the nation of Israel is established, until the kingdom of heaven is established, being joint heirs with Yahawashi. All right. So with that, Lord willing, you was edified, and Lord willing, we allowed to endure to the end. And we in some beautiful times, man. You know, we in some beautiful times, and you know, we just gotta stay prayed up, continue to fast, and you know, keep moving forward through the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Hey, with that, once again, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Shalom.